Sales of Boozy. Sige, sige. Hello guys. Thank you for watching today's episode. It's we're gonna interview a classmate of mine in college. His name's Jonathan Joson. So in today's class, it's entitled "How an Ex-Googler Has E-commerce Companies by the Day and Actually Owns US Companies by Night." A few things worthy to share about my friend. Jonathan Joson is the CEO, co-founder of three successful e-commerce companies, Boozy, Hair Manila, and Entropia. So if you've ever tried to order anything online, chances are it came from Boozy if you ordered some whiskey or alcohol during the pandemic. And of course, I wanted you guys to know that I'm proud that he is, I think, one of the top brand ambassadors of Shopify in the Philippines. And he was acclaimed 40 under 40 by a digital magazine, regional. It was a regional competition in Asia. And he was heralded one of the top digital marketing something. Yeah. So there, Jonathan, maybe say something about
Hi,
you.
Nikki.
About me talking about your company.
Yep.
Like maybe tell the world what you do. Can you describe just briefly how easy it is to start a business online? What made you open these careers? Like so you're an ex-Googler. Oh, I mean, can you tell us like 12 years of 13 years since college?
Okay. So I'm gonna spend the next 10 minutes more or less talking about my life. I guess post college and ever since we started interacting and everything. So Nikki and I go way back more than 15 years. In high school, we competed against each other in math competitions. I had green pants from Lazal Zobel. Nikki had a purple skirt, no? Was it a purple?
Yes, purple.
Yeah, purple skirt.
Violet.
Violet from
St. Stephen.
Yeah, and so sometimes they would win, sometimes we would win, no. But we eventually became blockmates in college. So we both took management engineering in college. In fact, we were blockmates, and it was a very difficult course. Blah blah blah. We graduated in 2007, 2008. So it was the last crisis, and for some strange reason, I ended up in advertising. No, so most of our classmates went into finance or went into marketing, went into different multinational companies. I think in our batch, only two of us went into advertising. No? So I was one of those two weird people. I spent the next 6 years in advertising, both in the Philippines and in Hong Kong. So when I was in Hong Kong, Nikki would also come. We would meet up over dinner and stuff like that. No, but I handled brands like from Unilever, from Citibank, from Colgate-Palmolive, and so on. No? So I really got my feet wet doing a lot of digital advertising. No, back then when I started, there were only 7 million people online in the Philippines. Right now, there are at least siguro 80 million people. I don't know. I don't even know the number anymore, but I know it's the second biggest medium available actually after TV. So it really grew leaps and bounds, and I think I really got to grow along with it. No, so I did a lot of firsts in the Philippines. No, we were actually the very first company to do Facebook ads, for example, for Unilever in the Philippines for Dove. No,
Wow.
So if you remember, and this was back 2007, 2008. So when Facebook ads were new, my team and I were actually the first to implement it. No? So it goes way back. I was one of the very first batch of people certified for Google Analytics in the Philippines back in 2007, 2008. If you look at Multiply, Friendster, if you remember those tech companies, we were there doing ads and stuff on it. No, when Facebook like ads first came out, you remember those ads where you like, and that was the reason really why people started really advertising. Advertisers started really advertising on Facebook was to grow their followings. No, my agency was also among the first to implement it. No, if you remember the campaign by Sarah Geronimo with Sunsilk with the exclamation mark, like the Sunsilk page. This was sometime around 2009, 2010.
Ganun sila ng ganun ng buhok.
Yes. Yeah,
You
so
don't
that
get involved.
again, that
Okay.
was my agency doing it. So
Okay.
I think we were lucky enough to be among the pioneers for digital advertising in the Philippines. No, then I
Mhm.
spent a lot of time there. That's where I lost my hair, all the stress of advertising.
Okay.
And then I moved to Hong Kong. Did again a lot of digital advertising for Colgate, but I did it across the region. No? I handled China, India, Malaysia, Thailand, the Philippines, Singapore, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and so on and so forth. And then in 2014, 15, I moved back to the Philippines. Then I got married, and then I went to Google Philippines. No? And that's where I spent 2 years. In Google, I was part of the performance marketing team. Performance marketing means it's a kind of marketing where you focus really on getting results. No? Results meaning e-commerce sales or lead generation for banks or credit card leads and so on and so forth. And my biggest clients there were the travel companies, no, Cebu Pacific, Philippine Airlines, as well as the banks. So if you tried to apply for a loan or for a credit card on BDO, BPI, my team would be the one showing you ads. No? So my specialty really is getting people to do things online, right?
Mhm.
After a while, after 2 years, I started realizing this is where I became an entrepreneur. No, I
Mhm.
realized that if I was making so much money for my clients, and this was Cebu Pacific, Philippine Airlines, if you saw the return on ads that I would my team would do for them, I started thinking, why not do it for my own businesses? I mean, if it works for
Okay.
other companies, why not do it for my own businesses as well?
Okay.
And that's where we start. My wife and I started really talking about entrepreneurship and e-commerce. No, so what happened was she was also ex-corporate. No, she was in Unilab, she was in Mondelez Craft.
Mm.
No, and she left, and we ended up buying a salon. Right.
Okay.
So I'm not really fronting that business because I don't have any hair, which is funny.
Oo.
No? But eventually bought a
Guys,
franchise.
Hair Manila. So
I know.
it's a couple team.
hairmnl.com, yeah. But so it's literally a mom and pop shop. My wife and
Mm.
I are the majority shareholders. It's not we're still bootstrapping it. There's no external investors yet, and so on. But I'll explain that later. But basically, um, we also inherited the existing Facebook page and other assets of the salon. No? One day, somebody messaged and they asked, "Do you deliver products to Zambales?" And you were like, "Teka,
Wow.
why Zambales? And why did you message a shop in Pasig or in Mandaluyong to deliver you in Zambales?" Then we
Okay.
looked up the address of that person on Google Maps. No? And it was literally in the middle of nowhere. Like there were no salons, there were no malls, literally a province. And you're like,
Okay.
Teka, if there's somebody like her who would message somebody in Manila,
Baka she's a distributor or is she a
hindi,
user?
single product eh. One
Single
product,
product
B2C eh.
lang? Okay, sige.
B2C. And you're like, okay, teka, baka meron to. So what happened was I went online, looked for the best e-commerce solution available, which was Shopify, learned it overnight, and in 2 days we had a Shopify store up. And we thought of the name Hair MNL, no? Because
Mm.
it's we weren't really thinking about it, to be honest.
Okay.
No?
Okay.
The name's there, so we always get asked, "Are you related to Beauty MNL or not?" But
Maybe
Hair
Manila.
MNL is the
But
name,
now,
yeah, Hair Manila. And we didn't get any sales for for a couple of days, 4 days,
mm.
5 days. And I remember the very first sale we got, you know, and you're actually jumping up and down, saying it worked, it worked, it worked. You know? And it grew and it grew and it grew after that. You know? So eventually
Okay.
now, Hermanel, after 6 years, is I'm proud to say one of the market leaders really when it comes to professional hair care e-commerce in the Philippines. You know, I think it's far and away the largest in terms of volume, brand awareness, sales, and so on. You know? That's one.
Mhm.
I started getting into e-com as well. So I'm not a founder of Boozy, but I'm a partner. So the group that
Okay.
founded it
Sorry.
actually brought me in, you know, because they knew about what
They
I was
brought
doing with
you in.
MNL. Yeah, and I'm an industrial partner essentially. So I got in for shares, and the moment
Mhm.
I got in, I recommended to go on Shopify. No, so we went on
Okay.
Shopify, and again, it grew leaps and bounds. We're now on Shopify Plus. Shopify Plus is the enterprise level of Shopify, essentially, and it's been several multiples of revenue growth since we started. Right, so in that sense, you could
You
say
guys
I'm on
started 2014
17,
for shop
2017.
2017, so 3 years
Yes.
ago. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm proud to say
Okay.
again, Boozy is a market leader. By far, I think the largest liquor delivery business in the Philippines. And if
I
you
see it
notice
in
a lot,
Grab.
yes. So we're on
Nakikita ko
Grab,
siya
we're
sa
on
Grab Food.
Food Panda, we're on Lazada, we're on Shopee, we have our own website. We even tried Honestly when it was there. We even have a branch in Cebu. We have Boozy Cebu as well. So far and away the largest e-commerce service again for liquor delivery. And it's really because we really tried to take advantage of what's happening. So Boozy started because the founders actually thought there would be a liquor ban back when Duterte took power. And I think there was going to be a 10 p.m. cutoff, I think, for curfew for 7-Eleven or something. And realized, teka, you just deliver goods. I mean, there's a huge demand for liquor, for wine, for beer, and so on. And I think that's really where it started. No? And then my last company is Entropia. Entropia is not an e-commerce company, but it's a consulting company. It's a slash agency. What we do is we help blue chip clients, big companies like Mega World, like RCBC. We actually help them go online for digital transformation or e-commerce enablement. No? Meaning, we really help companies take advantage of the internet economy. And that's basically what I do day to day on my day job, right? So
digital transformation company, basically.
It's a lot of different.
You remind me a little bit of Endava, a little.
Not familiar.
Anyway, it's okay. It's okay.
It's a lot of different things. My core skill set is really marketing, digital marketing, growth marketing in particular. But it's expanded into to growing companies, founding companies, investing in companies, helping them grow, and so on and so forth, right? And that's my day job, right? So
so were you juggling this Boozy while you were in where you had a career with Google, or like parang when you saw the sales of Boozy, okay, I can quit my job in Google. Was there like when
overlap.
did it happen?
No. So Boozy was way after Google. Boozy was sometime really 2018. When I started really doing it significantly. Hair Manila was an overlap just because my wife was running it. But I left Google sometime 2017, 2018, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, sige. Yeah. You seem to have all these companies. I wonder, how hard is it to actually manage a business online? How do you compare managing an online Boozy and Hair Manila and Entropia versus, let's say, if you opened a normal business?
Okay.
Same difficulty or no?
Okay. It's less capital intensive in setting it up. Why? You don't need to open a store. You don't need to build a store. You don't need to pay one year of rent. You don't need to do a build out of an office, for example. Up to now, and I'm proud to say here, MNL, for the longest time has been 70% work from home. Even when we started. Okay. So we run it out of a home. We just have a physical location for the salon and the warehouse. But in terms of the executives, the management, from the longest time, it's really been remote. So in terms of costs, actually, it's more expensive to set up a salon than to set up an e-commerce business. Okay? Most of your costs actually go into inventory, but you can keep that lean. You can keep it just in time or very short. Or in terms of the media that you spend. So a big chunk of, let's put it this way. If you were to set up a physical store, your biggest investment most likely for retail would be your location, right? And to get a good location, you need good foot traffic. Therefore, you need to spend on rent, right? Then you have to build out and pay the contracts and do a nice location and all of that. No, with e-commerce, it's different.
With e-commerce, it's just warehousing and logistics, delivery, shipping.
Yes, location itself is irrelevant to the storefront. No, what's more important actually is your vicinity to where everybody is. For example, for Boozy, we can do 90-minute delivery in Metro Manila, and we do it by positioning our warehouses properly. Right? There's one in QC, there's one in Alabang, there's one in Makati, But they don't have storefronts. Therefore, we're not in a mall. Okay? For Hair Manila, on the other hand,
investment capex was on warehouse. For Boozy, the biggest investment was warehousing. And then you've got partners like Grab and Food Panda. They take a cut. That's how it works, no? Like these are your distribution platforms.
Yes and no.
For people to know Booze.ph ba? So they can access Boozy through straight. You've got an app, mobile app. How do you think people knew you 500% better because of COVID pandemic? I mean, I remember asking you, and you were saying like every day was literally a Black Friday. So due to the COVID pandemic.
Okay. So Boozy Boozy is BOOZY.ph. So Boozy, which sounds like Boozy. It's one of our 10x picks. So that's one of my favorite, just because magkatunog sila.
It sounds like Sounds like
Yes.
boozy. Okay.
Yes. So it actually has a 10% stake in my portfolio just because it sounds like. But so Boozy, we have our own riders. We deal with Grab and Food Panda, no, but mostly we have our own riders just because we need to maintain our 90-minute to 2 hour delivery promise, no. Actually, right now we have a sale. So we have a 3-day whiskey sale, 10 to 15% off on a lot of single malts and a lot of premium whiskey. So you can actually check, no. But if you look at the site, we
How
have
many
over,
SKUs do you guys have?
I think,
Thousands?
1,300.
Thousands of SKUs?
I think
Wow,
1,300 to
galing,
1,500
galing.
right now, right? But we have everything from the bar and Emperador, the low end, at the cheap end, all the way up to like 500,000 peso to 3 million peso whiskeys, actually. So we have
What's the
everything from
average, what's,
basket
if you
size.
don't mind me
Yeah,
asking,
sure.
yeah, what's the average basket size?
So I'm proud to say the basket size
People
is
would
very
spend
high,
1,000,
2,000 to 3,000 pesos, actually.
2 to 3K. Wow.
Yeah, which is
Okay,
higher
that's
than the
good.
average of $8 for the Philippines for econ, right?
If you don't mind me asking, people
Sure.
can go to Pure Gold. Why
Yeah.
do people go online? Because they can buy liquor through supermarkets. Other
Yes.
than the fact that I know it's convenient. This is online. So
Okay.
why do you think people go to Boozy.ph?
Okay, it's three things basically. Number one, selection.
Convenience.
So when you go to a Pure Gold or a Robinsons, the basics are there. Your Johnny Walker Blacks, your Jose Cuervos, your beers, your Fundadores, your Emperadors, and so on. No. Pero if you want something more special, if you want a special wine, let's say you want a good champagne to celebrate a birthday or anniversary, most likely that's not going to be in a supermarket, right? Or if you need something rare, let's say at 10 p.m. Most supermarkets would be closed by then. No? We actually deliver up to 1 a.m. Pre-pandemic at least. No? And third is pricing.
Sige.
We're actually cheaper than convenience stores. If you compare the price, we're not as cheap as SNR or Pure Gold. No? But that's fine because we have convenience. But we're definitely cheaper than 7-Eleven. Right? So for the
Okay.
wider selection, for the convenience, and now the safety of ordering from home, I think it's an unbeatable proposition when it comes to e-commerce.
How do people pay? GCash, BDO, bank transfers, credit card.
Yes. Okay.
How do people pay?
Okay. The short answer is you need to do everything. So if you go to hairmnl.com and you try to pay, literally, I think we have 8 or 9 different ways to pay. From Paymaya
Cash
to
on delivery.
GCash to COD to BankNet to BDO to BPI Security Bank. Everything's there actually. We
How
used to
does
even
the
have it this
Filipino
way.
How does the Filipino order? Do they usually pay you through cash? How do they do
Yeah.
it? Cash
Um,
talaga. So Philippines is
Depends.
50% cash, or do they pay you like GCash ko na to, i-grab
Okay.
food ko na lang yan.
Here's something
Paano?
surprising. In
Mm.
during the pandemic, we actually stopped COD. Why? Because number
Because
one,
of contactless payments.
number one is contactless, but second, it's risky. Meaning, a lot of the returns and a lot of the issues with the couriers come when people change their minds. So suddenly
Okay.
you're delivering something, and the person who's at the next end would say, ayoko tanggapin. The merchant actually takes the hit for that, right? So especially with the delays of delivery and everything, we didn't want to risk that. Now the funny thing is, even if we did only prepaid, meaning credit cards, people would still order, right? So I
Mm.
think COC is just something that they got used to. And I was just in a talk a while ago. One of my co-speakers was from Paymaya. People would actually prefer contactless now. Why? Because it's
Okay.
safer, it's more convenient. They already have their GCash and Paymaya wallets anyway.
And they
Uh,
can go up. They
yes,
cannot pay you through their ATMs, diba?
yes,
Like, it
exactly,
used to be
exactly.
that they could go to their banks, but they don't
Correct,
have cash.
correct,
So how could they pay you? Talagang bank transfer.
correct,
Yeah,
correct.
fund transfer,
So
GCash.
it's really that. No? So I don't think it's really the Filipino preferring COD. I think it's them learning to do cashless or contactless.
So like
It,
now,
yeah.
50% contactless, or 100% kasi you basically close the COD. So
We gave it
100%
back actually.
digital.
So up to June, we were doing only prepaid, but now we're accepting COD again. So it varies. The more affluent audiences actually prefer credit cards, for example,
Mm.
compared to COD, because don't naman carry 15,000 in cash at any given
So
point to pay, right?
what's the best, for you, what is the best way that, I mean, diba, credit card, so MasterCard, Visa, they take a cut
Yes.
of 1%, was it? 1 to
Yes.
2%?
Ah,
And
it's very
then
high.
Dragon Pay, PayPal,
PayPal is 4%. PayPal is
5%?
up to 5% actually, depending on your
5% yata
category.
PayPal, no? Yeah. Oh,
PayPal is very,
so
very high.
mhm. Among the
So if you,
among the distribution, like
yeah.
Seafood Panda and Grab, they take what, 5% cut or
Uh,
15%
no, no, no. It can go up to
out of sales?
20 to 30%
20. So
for a restaurant.
depending on the
Yeah,
tier,
yeah,
no? Um,
yeah,
assuming there's a person out there who wants to do what you did for for Boozy.ph,
yeah,
what would be your advice? Like, how could they take their sales online? So I understand you use
yeah,
Shopify.
yeah,
So Shopify would be your answer. Maybe
yeah,
give to them. Let's assume I have a simple salon as well,
yeah,
and I am so I'm trying to sell some, or kahit na, sige, I'm like people nowadays, diba? Sige.
yeah,
So I know that you're very good in your trends.
yes,
You can probably share to the world the trends that you see in the pandemic,
yeah,
what's best selling, and how
yes.
could they actually sell better, given the knowledge that you know. So yon,
Okay.
yeah.
So there's a secret to e-com. Eh. I prefer going verticals. Verticals meaning hair care, nutrition, liquor, and so on, rather than going full on supermarket. Know
Mhm.
what I mean? Because it's easy to specialize in one vertical and then dominate that vertical rather than go all out. No? Because that requires a lot of funding, a
So
lot of
niche
capital.
category dapat.
Yes.
One
So
niche.
I think it's easy to find verticals where there's no dominant e-commerce player yet. No? Whether it's actually, so this is hair MNL, no? So I think,
Mhm.
I mean, nobody else does professional hair care, right? But we carry the entire range of L'Oreal, of Kerastase, of Davines, and
So
so on.
you
No?
got partners of Hair Manila. Bale, how did you do this? Like you talk to these brands
Yeah,
na why don't we sell your stuff online? Are you
yeah,
okay that we sell it? Would Hair Manila branch out to some complementary products like
yeah.
makeup? Because or is it already selling makeup?
So we're
I'm not
selling tools, we're selling hair dryers, we're selling brushes, we're selling nail polish, and so on, right? So, but our
okay.
focus really is on professional products, meaning the stuff that you see in a salon. You won't see a Dove, you won't see a Sunsilk or a
So
Palmolive there.
your buyers are consumers talaga that use these professional hair care
Yes,
products,
yes.
not necessarily businesses.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
you're
B2C,
attacking mostly consumer. So this is a business to
B2C.
consumer product.
These are your
Okay.
salon titas. These are people who have their hair colored and need specialty products. These are people who have thinning hair. These are people who have very serious dandruff, for example, that need something more than a head and shoulders to actually to treat their conditions.
Okay. Why did you guys enter this segment? Was it something that you saw na is it because there was
Yeah,
a salon and let's sell this
yes,
online, or was it
yeah.
because there was a total addressable market not being addressed?
Okay, it was really more of the first. It really jumped into our laps. No? So we had a salon, we had these
Uh-huh.
products anyway. We were talking to these brands anyway, and it eventually started doing e-com and realized that there was a huge addressable market out there,
Mm.
with nobody really playing in it. No? And that's why we're actually in it. So it's really more of the opportunity first before going into the actual market.
Okay. So have many people approached you for Entropia to actually digitally transform their businesses, like enable
Yes,
Shopify and everything?
yes,
Um, I think that I'm not sure if you can share the clients, but maybe
yes.
like give me a background, like a nature of the kinds of clients that you are helping right now to digitally transform and boost their sales
Yes.
in the Philippines that is really having a hard time going online. Especially there's a
So
lot of older
yeah,
people who can't
yeah.
understand this. Yeah.
Okay. For example, Mundi Pharma, more well known as Betadine. So
Mm.
they have stores on Lazada and Shopee. We actually help them out with their advertising heading to those sites. So even if clients already have their own existing e-commerce portals, even if it's on Lazada and Shopee, we actually help them out by helping them monetize. Right. So another
Okay.
is RCBC. RCBC, we're helping them out with digital advertising. and so on and so forth. We also work with Mega World in terms of lead generation for their properties and so on.
How do you parang choose your clients? Do you reach out to them that, hey, we can do this for you, or do
Yes.
they reach out to you?
It happens both ways. So sometimes you get invited to pitch or to do a proposal, but sometimes it's also about like us approaching our contacts and saying, hey, why not do this for e-commerce? We see an opportunity, we can help you out. But mostly it's really that.
Let's try to see. I have some questions for you.
Sure.
This time is so tell me naman, you are buying US tech companies
Yes.
nighttime. So how much time can you actually allocate trading US? You've got your businesses, because I think a lot of Filipinos, they get overwhelmed. Like parang they ask maybe wow, you have an online business. Why did you even parang sakit na ulo yan? Whatever.
Yes.
Maybe you can tell them like what's your daily routine like.
Okay.
And why you're buying US by night.
Okay. So sige, let's talk first about why I'm investing. Majority of my net worth is illiquid in the companies that I own. No, so hopefully if I exit one day, either sell it, IPO, whatever. No, that's when I'll start cashing out. No, but that's going to be more than 10x. That's going to be 100x, 1000x move, as you would know. No, and you mentioned this a lot in your companies. No, the founders and the venture capitalists make the most returns. No, just because they invested in the most risk. No, but I'm at that stage with my companies. No, where there's either a preliminary investor, or we're still growing, or we're still illiquid. No? And I have some investments in real estate which aren't really growing that well, which I really don't like. No? So I felt that I needed to diversify outside the Philippines. And then I started really seeing what the content that you were posting. And I realized, hey, there's actually a chance to start buying quality tech companies outside the Philippines. I had a taste of this. So when I was in Google, I had vested options, I had vested stocks, and I actually rode Google from 900 to 1.5 before selling to buy property. So I knew the growth potential of US stocks, no? But I didn't know how to buy. Then I of course I started reaching out to you and asked, where do I open a brokerage account? How can I transfer money? How do I start taking accounts and so on? No? So that's really why I subscribe to Awesome 10x. And I'm proud to say I'm paying the full-time fee 6 months just because it's worth it. No, because in that
and
sense,
not because we're classmates, right? Not because like we know each other.
I would have asked for it for free, right? Right, but the fact that I see the value in it, and I would gladly pay to get somebody who's very good at what she does to actually do my due diligence and my research for me, right? In the same way, for example, that the companies that choose to work with my agency, my company, the companies that do choose to work with me as a consultant, realize that they're outsourcing to the very best in their field. No? So I also outsource. Why would I pretend to know how to trade, to know how to pick companies, for example, when I know there's somebody who does it 24/7, which is you, right? So that's really the way of maybe leveraging the resources that I have, which is the capital that I have. But I do know that somebody can research for me during the day. All I have to do is listen to her at 5:30 every day to get trading ideas. Then I log on to Interactive Brokers sometime around 8 p.m. Set up my trades. If it's an active trading day, I trade and try to buy at a good price. No, I stop around 12, and that's when I actually start working out. No? So my schedule's kind of weird. No, I wake up at 10:11. I work from 10:11 to 6. Then I start doing the pre-work for trading. I trade from 9 to 1, then I exercise and I go to sleep, which is kind of weird. So, but everything happens in this room. I'm literally in front of my computer, in front of Google, Facebook, Shopify, and Interactive Brokers and Zoom for the whole day. So those are the stocks I also buy.
Yeah. So what you consume, what you literally use every day.
Like literally, I've been using Shopify since 2016. I sometimes kick myself for not buying the IPO because I knew Shopify was
you
the
were
best
aware
company.
that it was listed. You were aware it was listed.
Yes. Even
you were
Facebook,
seeing that it was rising.
yes, I knew it was
Maybe
the
coming
best
price.
solution. Even Facebook.
Uh,
I
Guys,
wasn't
for those
involved
who
in the
don't
Facebook
know,
IPO.
Shopify went from 18 to
Mm.
1,000. So in 5 years' time, you'd have 50x your money
Yes.
without even thinking too much. I mean, what
Yes.
type of investment would give you 50 times? We're talking about, minsan nga, we're discussing 10x lang eh, but
Yes. Yes.
Shopify is 50 times your money in five
When did they
years.
when did they IPO? What
2015.
2015? I became a Shopify user 2016. Actually 2016. So I wouldn't have met, but I would have bought early. You know what I mean? If I knew that I could buy, and I had somebody doing the fundamentals and the research and the due diligence, I would have bought. And that's my
Guys,
biggest regret.
it took a life-changing moment for me to actually focus USA. So
Yeah.
I started US 2019. So
Yeah.
I was when John had reached out to me before, just to tell the viewers, 2015 I dabbled a little, but I really just bought like Facebook, Alphabet.
Yeah.
I didn't really study anything because I mean, who actually needs to study Facebook, guys? I mean, like every layman knows Facebook is a great investment. So like I had that, like Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Disney, really the traditional blue chip companies. And then I really just held on to it like 4 or 5 years, then 4 years actually. So and then 3 to 4 years. Then I had a conversation with my dad, and then he told me that my US portfolio is doing well, my Philippines
Yeah.
wasn't. And he told me, why don't you focus where you're good at? So, yeah, and that's when I really focused on US. And my clients also noticed that I was doing quite well in USA. And so they told me, why don't you actually make a business out of this? Like,
Yeah.
because I was giving it for free, honestly,
Yes.
before. First 6 months, I was doing it for free. Then people told me, why don't you charge something? I gave an arbitrary price of 5,000 pesos. And my client told me, Nikki, sa laki ng kinita ko sa Tesla,
Yes.
nahiya ako, bayaran na lang kita 2,000 a month. So
Yes.
now I charge 2,000 a month. It's 10,000 for 6 months. Happily, we're growing. Yeah, so I think Jonathan can actually share what drives you to invest in general. Can you tell the viewers here who
Okay.
are probably not investing at all in US
Yeah.
companies? Mhm.
Why do I like investing? Making money is fun, right? It's not, I mean, not just essential, but it's actually fun. And there's nothing I don't like more than seeing money sitting, not growing, right? So if I know that it's in the Philippines not growing, and the index isn't even moving or declining, but I know there's somewhere else to put it, where it could grow for a little more risk, for more reward. Why not, right? I mean,
Probably not even risky eh.
yeah,
Hindi
yeah,
siya
exactly,
ganun ka-risky eh. It's
exactly.
lower risk, higher reward.
Yes, yes. I mean, the
Yeah.
index is growing. Even if you honestly, even if you do an index fund in the US, it's growing.
Kahit Nasdaq 100 na lang eh, no? 66
Exactly,
to 11K.
exactly.
Kahit
But
hindi ka na nag-choose ng mga Zoom video. Binili mo
correct,
na lang yung index.
correct.
Okay.
But what more if you had somebody actually researching it 24/7, which is you? So ako,
Kung may
it's a
50%
no-brainer,
a month. Nakuha mo ba
right?
yung
I
mga
mean,
general?
Tesla,
Sabi ko,
Tesla
yan,
went
Tesla.
from
Tesla, 80% in 1 week.
1,008 to 1,500 in 2 weeks. Then I sold at
1,000.
1.5, right? So 50%, right? So
50%, yeah.
you have
Because
Copen, you have Rusi.
everybody, ano eh, I mean, if you are trading the US, it's kind of like the signs are all there.
Yes.
June 26, June 23, all the electric cars were going up.
Yes.
And then you knew that second quarter was coming out. May
Yes.
leakage.
Yes.
Grabe, nagli-leakage pa sila Elon Musk.
Yes. So even Shopify also bought at around, I think, 700. Spotify bought
Nag-leakage din yung Shopify, the
Yeah.
CTO, di ba? He was saying
Yeah.
that every day was like Black Friday.
Yes.
Nag-comment siya sa Twitter niya.
Yeah.
Every day is like, I think it was a John, the French, John Lacroix, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you see it. I mean, all of us started watching more Netflix, started listening to more Spotify, started buying more on Lazada, started buying more on Shopee.
My mother shopped online. Maybe you can discuss
Exactly.
with them C Limited. I know you have a lot
Yeah.
of I know you've got great stats. Maybe you can share to them how you use your digital marketing analytics because you are
okay.
ex-Googler. How does that help you
Okay.
in confirming the
If you let
trades
me,
and
I'm gonna share
investments?
I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna share my
Go
screen.
lang, share
I'm
screen.
gonna show you
Tell
something
them.
I did for a presentation earlier this month.
Sige lang.
Share screen, application window. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it now. Yeah, google.com trends. Yep.
Okay. Can you see the whole screen? I'm not sure what you see.
Yes, I can see boozy, liquor delivery,
Okay.
alcohol, beer, and wine.
Okay.
Wow, si
So
boozy tumaas talaga.
so
Outperform.
um,
Hi, boozy.
here's
But
the
it's not
thing. There's so
go.
much data available online,
Mm-hmm.
and it's free. Just go to google.com/trends.
Mm-hmm.
And what you'll actually see is the volume of how many people are searching for a certain term. Right. So this is a graph showing how many people search for boozy, liquor delivery, alcohol, beer delivery, wine delivery from 2017 to 2020. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And this peak here is Christmas. This is Christmas. This is Christmas. Okay. This is ECQ.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I won't say anything, but that's how many people search for boozy during ECQ. Right?
Uh-huh.
So there was a spike, then it's starting to decline, no? Which is normal.
Okay.
I think e-commerce companies tasted a very huge increase in sales, but I think it's going to
Mm-hmm.
be flattening out for Q3. So honestly, I don't think Q3 is going to be that great because
Okay.
people's disposable income is not going to be as good. No, but anyway, I'll show you a few interesting things. Okay?
Sige.
So for example, ito, then this is mid June, not even July. Eh. But this is searches for the word COVID symptoms. This is the start of the quarantine. And if you actually extend this chart, I did this 2 days ago. The search volume for COVID symptoms is actually here already around 70%, 75% of what it was at the start. So it's actually rising, which is scary
Mm-hmm.
for me. And I think it's reflected by the trends of around 2,000 new cases every day, right? So I haven't gone out. I don't go out much because I know that it's getting worse.
Dumadami na talaga.
Yes.
Yeah,
If you look at
80,000 cases so far.
it's a lot.
Okay.
No, but here's something interesting. So we know that there was a spike even in stock prices going down. So stock prices went down, right? March 12th.
Yes,
But
yes,
yeah,
yes.
that's also when you start seeing people who start acting weird. So this is the start of the quarantine. People started searching for vitamins, vitamin C, Immunomax, zinc, immune system. And if you
Mm-hmm.
notice, the baseline searches are higher than they were pre-quarantine,
So
right?
you would
So
be shorting the market that time because you knew that
essentially,
the fear was very huge.
yes,
Okay.
I would buy health stocks, right?
I remember
Basically,
actually during that time, we were actually buying some APTs, the
yes,
masks. Yung
yes,
mga nag-ano. Kasi, well, yes, there's a lot of vaccines, but I wasn't sure which
yes,
vaccine was the reality. So what I knew was people would buy masks. So sa
correct,
mask manufacturer lang ako. And
correct.
our pick then was APT.
Very
Okay.
similar approach, no? So
Cardo
ako,
Red.
I started baking. So I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
go out. So I started baking a lot. And a lot of people started baking as well. If you go on Instagram and you look at hashtag sourdough or home baking, you see a lot of people actually baking stuff. Ako, I'm one of them. And you'll actually see search volume for the word sourdough go up during the same period. This is the
Sino
pandemic.
nagpauso ng ube cheese?
I
Sa
have
Pilipinas ba nanggaling yan? Or somewhat?
I
Korea?
really don't know. I really
Ube
don't know. Dalgona coffee was
pandesal.
Korea. Dalgona coffee was a
Dalgona
spike.
coffee.
Then
Oh.
it declined. No, but if you look at baking as a whole,
Ah.
recipes as a whole, people started doubling up, tripling up their search volume during the quarantine. Then hasn't
Mhm.
gone down.
Mhm.
Right? How to make bread and so on and so forth. No, so I guess you can even correlate it to Conagra. So
Mhm.
this is where you start correlating stuff. If people are buying, if people are baking, they're buying flour. Why not
Mhm.
start buying flour stocks?
Mm.
Right?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
exercise. So this is me. I started exercising
Peloton.
every day. Exercise. I know people start doing routines at home. I used to work out every day, every single day. But
Mhm.
people also search for yoga. So maybe
Mhm.
Lululemon, right?
Lululemon.
Peloton,
Peloton.
Nike, and so on. No,
Stay at home.
Peloton. Of course, you know the story more than me. But went from 40 to how much is it now? 80.
Yeah, very strong eh. Kasi there's just so much sales, yeah.
Yes.
But I wasn't pitching Peloton too much.
Yes.
My fault. Kasi I'm not.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to buy something that you aren't a user of.
Yes. Yes.
And I find $2,000. I think I wasn't just the target market. So,
Yeah.
but I was seeing growth talaga from the consumers.
Inside there is people like suffering together. So I do CrossFit. I do it because there's a community behind it, and we basically suffer together. Same with spinning classes. No? So if you go to Ride Revolution, Electric Studio, people go there and they go on a bike and they do it for 1 hour and sweat
I
buckets.
actually, I found it a bit surprising that car sales of the most expensive cars were
Yes,
doing
Ferrari.
well.
Ferrari
And
went up,
then
right?
Hermes
Yes.
sale. So like I was saying to myself, how could it be possible that we're in a recession and depression? This was happening like March, April, so
Yeah.
the height of the COVID spikes. And
Yes.
I was like getting what the like how are these people? And then I was saying maybe the top 0.1% of the
Yes.
population truly has so much money that
And
they,
maybe
they
the
probably
stimulus
don't
got
care.
make them richer. Maybe they have more cash because of
Yeah,
the
true.
stimulus, right?
Because they're tech.
Yep.
Yeah, Peloton is $64 so far. It's up
Yep. So
100%, I think, from the lows.
a lot of
Mm,
different trends. Let me try to go
sige.
look at something interesting.
Yeah, the Shopee Lazada is very
Okay.
clear. Yeah.
Okay. So this surprised me. So I was originally not such a big fan of Shopee, because I didn't like the experience. But if you look at search volume for Lazada and
Since
Shopee,
April,
Shopee actually got more traffic in 6/6. No, so if you look at this graph,
June
you'll
6th.
see that the search volume for Shopee was higher than that of Lazada.
Can
No,
you do
so
that regionally? Because like
yes,
Shopee is in 6 countries, eh. So
yes,
I
yes, yes.
consider that, and that's for free. Like Philippines,
Yeah,
Indonesia.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
think.
It's
Okay,
free.
yes,
It's
okay.
free.
All
Google
right.
Trends. It's a good way. So this mirrors market share. So if, for example,
Mm-hmm.
you want to look at market share for solar panels,
Mm-hmm.
so if you just type in the different players, you'll actually see who's most searched,
So sino
and it
ba? Si
mirrors market
Enphase o
share.
si Solar Edge o si Tesla o
I
si
haven't ran it actually, but
SunPower,
you can try.
Sunrun?
Yeah,
O
but it
sige.
has to be the same category. But you can easily do it. You can do it during class if you want.
Mm. Sure,
But
sure,
it
sure.
mirrors market share. Kasi ito here's the basic insight When you search for something, it's
You're
because
interested to buy.
you want to buy it, or you might buy it at some point. Therefore, you
Mm.
can't fake it.
So Google is the true I search to buy client kind of search engine.
I would say that yes, because you don't really search until you're interested. The only problem is the search term. No, for example, if it's a brand like Dove, you don't know if it's
Mm.
Dove the soap, Dove the chocolate, Dove the
Mm.
burp, or Dove as in dove into the sea, right?
Okay. Sige.
So, so Tesla's another hard thing because Tesla has so much hype around it. You don't
So you
know.
don't know if they're buying the car or
Yes,
the power walls or the
yes,
battery or just generally liking Elon Musk.
correct, correct.
Or
So
just interested on his life, like showbiz
correct,
chika lang.
correct.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
it's very interesting actually. So I think it's an edge if you actually knew what people were searching for, and that's actually how we list products. For example, on Boozy, if we know that people are searching for rosé because it's summer, we put rosé on the front page because we know that people are gonna search for pink wine.
How's the
No,
effect
another
of Taylor Swift?
wala.
Past few days.
Okay, for example, here's something interesting though. So if we know that Kim Kardashian went blonde because she sometimes bleaches her hair, diba? There's
Mm.
also a spike in people going blonde in the Philippines, and therefore we sell products for blonde hair. So
Okay.
if an influencer goes platinum blonde, people also go blonde. It's very
Mm.
interesting the effect. So stuff like that basically. So you get the nice thing is you get to actually look at what people buy, and if you know what people buy, then you know what stocks will do well, kind of.
Mm.
Right? So I guess
Did
that's
you
what we
ever
try.
did you
Yes,
ever try to did you ever try to confirm a certain company that I pitch? Like example, our
yes,
wearables. Did you try to
yes.
check Boozy
Google
Open
Trends?
wearables?
Actually, not yet. Not
You
yet.
haven't checked.
For example, I bought Apple. I'm very bullish on Apple just because I'm an
The
Apple fan.
smart glasses. Yeah.
But I don't know. So, for example, for Vuzi or for Copen, I don't know
Pero
exactly what they search
people
for.
can buy Apple for so many reasons. Eh.
Correct, correct,
That's the thing about Apple. It's too
correct,
dominant. You like it for Apple Siri, you like it for Apple glasses.
correct,
What for 5G phones? Diba?
correct,
Mahirap minsan eh.
correct.
It's too big. You don't know
Yeah,
what they are buying Apple for.
it's probably not a 10x name anymore, but I know they're big on wearables.
Can still make
Yeah,
1x, not a
yeah,
10x, but a
yeah,
1x if you
yes.
are willing. Um, Maybe discuss how easy is it to make money with awesome 10x guidance?
Okay.
Is it easy? Is it hard? You spend an hour.
I spend roughly, so depends on how busy I am. So there are very busy days sometimes where I hardly get time to do anything. But what I do is so during your 5:30 class, I open you in the site on Zoom.
Mm.
Then I answer
Mm.
emails while listening. No? And then if I get a good trading idea, I just list it down. And then after the
You
class,
just
around 6 to 8 p.m., I go on Interactive Brokers. I go there, I post my buys, post my sells, look at my portfolio weights. Then I just let it be. So there are some scary days, like sometimes it dips 5%, 10%. But I mean, if I know naman that you pick good companies, I would just hold on and just watch it. And so, I mean,
Tsaka multiple stocks naman eh,
yes,
diversified, 'di ba? It's
correct, correct,
impossible. Plus different sectors.
yes.
So, unless you have 10 e-commerce names within you, then as much as
Well,
possible, dalawa
that's my
mataas,
problem.
high
So
correlation.
I have 2/3 of my portfolio in wearables and ecom,
So,
essentially.
masyado
So I
kang
tend
bullish
to
sa
pick up there.
convictions mo talaga eh, no? Pero I
Because
think
that's
like
what I
it's
do.
not a problem if that's your conviction.
Yeah.
That's what your analysis teaches you, leads
Yes.
you. So, if you're bullish Southeast Asia, so,
Yes.
games and
Yes.
e-commerce,
So for
we can
example,
be
if you
bullish
read the
on.
Temasek report, no, the Philippines will grow 4x e-commerce GMV from 2019 to 2025, and that's the Philippines. No?
Mm.
Indonesia is not even there. If you look at Myanmar, Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, I mean, of course, some of them are more advanced than us. No, but if you look at the growth rate of e-commerce in Southeast Asia alone, will grow minimum 4x. Of course, you'll
Confirm mo
buy.
nga. Meron ako kasing data na 3% lang ng households in USA yung
Yeah.
nape-penetrate ng solar, but
Yeah.
99% wants.
Okay, I
Ang
might quote.
grabe. Oh.
I'm actually talking to a solar panel provider for our house.
Like
So I might
what's the
actually go for
ROI
the
to actually
yes,
solar home, di ba? For
yes. So
residentials. Ah,
definitely. So I think it's there. But ako for the trends that I see affect what companies I buy. So I'm bullish ecom, I'm bullish solar, I'm bullish wearables just because I don't take this off. I have a Xiaomi wearable the
what's
whole
that?
day.
Fitbit, Garmin,
This is a Mi Band. A Mi
Xiaomi,
Band 2 or
Xiaomi,
3,
Xiaomi.
right?
Okay.
Yeah, Xiaomi. But I mean, it tells me my heart rate. It tells
Yeah.
me how much I sleep and so on and so forth, right? I
So
track everything.
you don't play games.
I used to.
You don't
So my
play
goal,
video games. So wala ka ng video games.
I wish I did. My goal is to
Mm.
retire early and play video games 24/7. But that's the real goal, no. But I used to play games a lot.
You're ano, you have a child. Kamusta si Hailey? How hard is
Holly.
it, the online education when you
Ah,
Holly, sorry, Holly.
Holly, yeah, pretty
So
hard. Pretty hard.
kamusta being a dad, online
Yeah,
education,
yeah.
homeschooling? How is it like being a dad pala?
It's very tough because you have to take a very hands-on role. It's not like school where you can drop her off and then do work and then come back to fetch her. With Zoom schooling, no? So she's in preschool now. Somebody has to be beside her the whole time, clicking mute, clicking unmute, opening the books, helping her with the materials, helping her with the glue. So it's actually taking a lot of my time and my wife's time to actually manage schooling. And I don't think anybody has yet cracked online
The
schooling. No?
education, magulo.
It's going to be very hard. I mean, it's easier when I think it's a little easier when you're in college, just because you can manage.
Matanda ka na
I
eh,
mean,
alam mo na yun. Oh,
you
but
can read
how does
it
a nursery child, how does a
exactly.
child actually handle
So
this?
sometimes she throws a tantrum and says, "I want to see my classmates. I want
Umiiyak
to
siya
say
sa
hi."
bahay?
Sometimes, because she says it's boring. Sometimes she gets frustrated
Nagzo-Zoom sila ng
because
mga classmates niya.
yeah,
They Zoom together
yes,
through
there's
the
a Zoom
tablet,
class to a tablet
through
or a
the tablet.
computer essentially.
And if you don't mind me asking,
Yeah,
the teachers are what, 30 minutes class, 1 hour class? I mean, paano yung
yeah.
attention times pa ng bata?
The older
Kaya
the
ba nila?
child, the longer the class. No, but even so, she's turning 5. Even then, the class is not going to be more than 2 hours long. No, even the summer class was only an hour most, and they would get bored at the end of it.
There
It's very
are
very hard.
ngayon, there's a lot of games right now that
Yes,
are geared to help the children eh.
yes,
So I heard it lang dun sa
yes,
Choiceology podcast.
yes,
Meron bang games nilalaro si Holly?
yes, yes.
Or
There are
the
lots of
schools,
games
they
actually.
do the games for them?
Yeah,
Parang mathletics, I heard
yes.
ito daw yung mga apps. I forgot eh.
So,
Hindi kasi ako parent, so I wouldn't, parang
yeah.
I wouldn't bother, unless unless mabibili ko yung app na yun, baka
Yes.
I would invest in it.
So
Alumin ko.
she doesn't read yet, so she can't do those. Well, she can't read sentences yet, but she can read
She
words. No,
plays
but
games ba? When you're
yeah,
when 3 years old, what do they do? Like they watch, do you allow them to watch
yeah.
anything, or chine-check mo yung pinapanood ng bata?
So we use apps like YouTube Kids. YouTube Kids is pre-screened, so there's no ads. The
Cocomelon?
I
Yung
don't not
pinapanood niya?
Cocomelon, but a lot of different. Let's say Peppa Pig, for example. No,
Peppa
for a
Pig.
while she actually learned English listening to YouTube Kids. She had a British accent for a time. She would say,
Nagluluto siya with you when you're baking
yeah,
pala.
yeah.
So
She helps with
yun yung
waffles.
quality time,
Yeah.
baking. So I think like ngayon, all the kids are becoming great bakers and
Yeah, I hope so.
very good entertainers, kasi they're always on yung mga singers siguro, nagti-TikTok, nagda-dance moves. Gagaling.
So in that sense, actually, I think there's a lot of time that the parents are spending with kids, which I think is very good.
Quality
Because if you
time.
look at the normal day, you spend 3 hours in traffic. That's time you lose for
Mm.
sleep, for exercise, for hanging out with your family. No, so I think in that sense, there might be a good thing, silver lining somewhere. But then again, there are also problems with it. The economy, education is going to be a bit hard, and so on and so forth. Right.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, it's a weird time to be alive, to be honest.
Sige. Last 10 minutes, I just wanted
Yes.
to ask you, any failures that you've
Okay.
actually overcome
Yeah,
throughout
yeah.
this entire 12 years of your
A lot,
13
a lot,
years?
a lot
Go.
actually. So
Mm.
I think maybe the easiest to say is um, it's easy to fail in ecom because the cost of participating is cheap. So to set up a Shopify account, you only have to spend what, 5,000 pesos a month subscription. Like there's even a 14-day free trial. So if you have a business idea, it's very literally easy to set up a Shopify account, upload your products, do a little advertising, and you'll see instantly if it sells or not. If it doesn't sell, stop and move on. Maybe pivot into something else, right? So it's the cost of failure with e-commerce is much lower, and even just treat it as a tuition fee
I
compared to if
forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot to ask this because diba Facebook and Shopify merged together. I see a lot of my friends, okay, they bake, they cook, and then they aren't skilled in online e-commerce at all.
Yes.
So parang, of course, they can reach very little if they're just selling to their friends, especially
Yes.
if they only have 100 friends or 200 friends.
Correct.
And then my Viber community is so much. Syempre ako naiinis din ako kasi
Yes.
ang daming pictures, ang daming
Yes.
and syempre, it's not as if like I will actually go screen 500 people
Correct.
that's
So
selling
here's the
their
hard
food
part.
every day.
Viber's
So
easy if you're making 10 orders a day, but if you're making 500 orders a day, it can't be on Viber. You need a website,
so it's not
right? So
scalable, right?
that's it.
Oo.
The number one rule of e-commerce is you have to scale. Any tech company, you have to scale.
You have to
So
sell their cookies and bake stuff in a Shopify.
yeah.
So
I mean, I can't
is
leave my day job if I do Viber.
Shopify? What's
Sorry.
this fake? Can you briefly explain to them? Kasi diba Facebook and Shopify are together now. Like Facebook isn't charging. They can check out, make a business page on Facebook,
Yeah.
integrate a Shopify account there, and
Yes.
Shopify will handle the shipping.
This is in the US,
Yes,
so it's not in the
Paano
Philippines.
pag Southeast Asia, hindi pa?
You have to lead them to your website where they check out. So there's still a link from either. So Shopify is what's called an e-commerce platform. Shopify is where you manage inventory, pricing, and availability. Meaning you list your products there, put the photos, list the descriptions, and then you can publish it to storefronts. No, one storefront is your site, another storefront is Messenger, another storefront would be your Facebook page.
Kardashian, she uses
Instagram.
Shopify through Instagram, diba? So like she sells her lipsticks IG.
Yeah.
So when she posts a picture on IG and then you check out, diretso yun, Shopify, you check out, it leads to her Shopify store.
Yes.
Automatically. Tapos hinahandle na ni Shopify yung mga sales for her.
The back end is Shopify, but the storefront per se could be the platform itself. So you can now buy completely on Facebook or Instagram, even do the checkout and the payment via Facebook or Instagram. But the back end is Shopify.
So far, this is only done in US, right? So hindi
Not
pa
in the
siya
Philippines. Yeah.
overall. Oo, it's not
Yeah.
global yet.
Yeah. But you have Facebook Shop. So Facebook Shop, you can list your products there. But the moment you click to buy, it heads to your Shopify site where you then do the checkout. So it's not
Okay,
yet
so you have
completely
to link
integrated.
it. So like
Yes.
for Boozy.ph, let's assume I went to the may Facebook page ba si Boozy?
Yes. Of course.
So I
Facebook,
go to
Instagram.
Facebook and then so I go to your IG, I
Yes.
click a booze that I want and
Yes.
then diretso yun.
Yes.
I-direct niya ako to your Boozy.ph.
Yes.
Okay, sige. I remember this, we had a conversation, natutuwa ka sa US kasi you can directly support the companies you want. It's like conscious capitalism. Parang
Yeah.
you're voting with your dollars.
Yes.
So if you believe in e-commerce, you buy with e-commerce. If you are
Yes.
believing in plant meat trends, then you are hitting
Correct.
up some plant meat companies and basically you enable the future, di ba? So I always tell that the
Yeah.
portfolio has to reflect the future that you believe in. So kung automation, you
Yes.
support automation companies. I guess what are your ending words to people who's contemplating, a lot of people don't have sales and
Yes.
I really am hurt with a lot of people losing the jobs, diba?
Yes.
So we all know that people in the Philippines, majority lost their jobs.
Yes.
Sales. What would you say to anyone who's really just needing extra cash, like passive income or actively?
Yes.
Maybe
So
give them like your strategies.
yeah, so two things siya. Number one, I'm a very, very big believer in entrepreneurship. Uh, owning something, owning a business that can exponentially increase in value is one way of becoming very wealthy. No, whether you eventually sell the business or get dividends or go an IPO, if you want to go 100x, 1000x, no, that's one of the only ways, no, to start a company that grows very, very fast and then exit. Okay, that's one. But if you're not entrepreneurial, at least grow your money through active investing. And that's where you
You
use
choose
all.
entrepreneurs like Jeff
Yes.
Bezos to help expand your network.
Yes,
Partner ka na lang
exactly.
kay Toby Lutke. Kay
Yes.
Amazon and Shopify ka na lang kung ayaw
Yes,
mo
but if you can do both, then better. So you're investing your time as an entrepreneur in something that you're very good at, which is what I do. I'm very good at finding customers online and making them spend. But the money that I earn from that, I also reinvest into secular trends, which I know will grow multiple times
will
in the
go
next
for
3 to 10
X, 5X
years. Yes. So
in
that
time.
way you're making your money work double for you. So you're investing in something growing very rapidly that you control. And then what you also control is your choice of what companies and trends and industries to invest in. That also grows. But it would be a shame if you don't invest. Because if it's just growing at what? Either time deposit or a money market fund or a very slow index, even if it's not risky per se, I mean, one of your biggest investments really is time. Eh. You make time work for you and compound whatever capital you have, right? And basically that's it. Sayang, di ba? So that's the two things. So number one, you may have lost a job, but the cost of doing something online is cheaper than setting up a physical store. You don't need to pay a 1 year down payment. You don't need to build a restaurant. You don't need to buy a farm. Know what I mean?
From the trends that you are seeing,
Yes.
what do you think are the companies or the kinds of businesses that would flourish on Philippine online? Like, so you did online liquor. That is a
Yes.
niche that you did.
Yes.
What other total addressable markets are capable to be doing well online?
Nutrition, pharmaceutical, nutrition and OTC.
What's
I
OTC?
think pharmacy.
Pharmacy.
Yes, especially now.
So
I don't.
Mercury Drugstore online, something
Have
like
you
that.
tried ordering from Mercury online?
They haven't pa, no?
It's
Walang
very hard.
pharmacy online.
They need to fill up a letter, they email you and all of that. So Watson's is trying. Zalora now has, no? But if imagine
So
this,
health.
health for sure. How many people have heart disease, diabetes, high cholesterol, all the maintenance, asthma, allergies? I mean, if I were sick, I wouldn't want to go to a drugstore and line up and get COVID, right? I'd rather have
Mm.
all of those delivered to me. So if somebody could crack B2C pharmacy delivery for maintenance medicine, if Unilab would do it or some other drug company
Well,
would do it,
Grab has a lot of money. You'll
yes,
never know. Grab Health. Grab
yeah, it's
Health.
just your
Because
unit only.
Shopee has na.
Yes,
Shopee has a health-related app in
OTC.
Malaysia.
But what if you need prescription drugs? For example, what if I have a prescription for Lipitor or for anti-asthma? And
Wala tayong
people spend a lot.
telemedicine.
Yes. So I would go with any. So here's a secret to ecom that I think. You need something that you need to buy over and over again. You need something that's easy to transport or bulky to transport. And you need something that people can't live without. So it can't be a one-time purchase. It has to be over and over again. Right. So ako, my bet, number one is that it's really ecom for
Mm.
pharmacy and
Okay.
education and all of that. But I mean, just the things that are disrupted because of where we are now.
Okay, so we'd like to thank everyone. It has been an hour. Thank you very much, Jonat. We learned a lot. I hope that the viewers learned something, and please do subscribe to Awesome 10x channel. We try to seek 10x ideas for you, and hope that you actually tune in and learn secular trends. We're trying to profit
Okay.
from people's businesses, and learn, like, people are skilled in a few things, and so Jonat, I asked him actually a lot on digital advertising trends, and then e-commerce. I asked him about whether tama yung nakita ko when I read something. So confirm you can confirm your biases with key
Yes.
opinion leaders. So, like, I call them KOLs, key opinion leaders. So if
So
they're very good in something, I ask them on that industry.
C group, yes, for sure.
Si
Good
Limited,
buy.
no?
Yeah.
Talong-talo si Lazada. Kawawa
Hindi
naman
naman
si
talo. I
Lazada.
mean, Lazada
Hindi
grew.
naman. Maybe
Lazada
it's
grew
just a secular
significantly.
trend. It's
Yeah,
just a
yeah. I
secular
mean,
trend.
growth rate. If you're going growth rate, it's growing faster. Just
Hmm.
because they really have they had a smaller base and growing fast, no? And they're still burning lots of cash.
Games. Marami rin kasi siyang games.
Yes, and that's printing cash
Free
basically.
Fire.
Yeah.
Nag-ban ng TikTok at ng
Yeah.
PUBG. So wala silang choice, mag-free fire lang sila doon.
Yeah.
Kawawa naman sila. Hindi ko nga
Yeah.
gets eh. I don't understand the India bans. So
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Thank you very much. I hope you learned something from Jonat. And this is Nikki signing out. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.